Well, this isn't a video that I ever planned on making, but here we are. So in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what my salary was every year for the last 9 years in banking. To clarify, I don't think it's easy for anyone to come onto a public platform and say how much money they've made, especially not the British. We don't do this stuff, and I haven't seen anyone do it, but hopefully it can encourage others to have these conversations and to do the same and to break down some of the barriers that exist when it comes to discussing pay. Because by not having this information accessible, it works against us, and you'll see what I mean as we go through this video. I'm going to share my numbers using Great British Pounds as I get paid in pounds, but given that US dollar is the most globally traded currency and a lot of my audience is outside of the UK, I'm also going to include the US dollar equivalent on the screen. So a quick lay of the land when it comes to banking. What most people don't realize is that there are so many different areas within a bank that pay completely differently. But broadly speaking, you can categorize a bank within 3 areas: the front office, the middle office, and the back office. And without boring you with the intricacies, typically those working in the front office earn the most as they are revenue generating, meaning they make the bank money. Then the back office, particularly technology, is probably the next best paid, and then it's middle office. If you want to know a bit more about the functions and how they work, then I have a specific video, which I'll link up here. But for now, we're just focusing on the money side of things. So I started my career working in the middle office of one of the world's largest investment banks. I did a summer internship program there in 2012 and was paid £7,500 for 10 weeks. So if you prorata that on a monthly basis, it's around £3,225 a month. I didn't pay any tax on that amount because I was a full-time student at the time and it was under the taxable threshold. Then that internship turned into a full-time offer at the same bank, still in middle office. So after graduating as a first-year analyst, my starting salary in 2013 was £35,000, which after tax and state contributions, national insurance, was £2,218 per month. So that's what I'm going to say for each of these numbers. I'm going to give you the pre-tax gross salary on an annualized basis and then the amount that was left in my bank account after taking away taxes and state contributions, the amount that hit the bank account each month. So again, this 35,000 was the lowest starting salary on the graduate program, with the front office and the back office functions making almost 10 to 20% more. Then as a second year analyst, I got a 7% pay rise. So my salary went up to 37,500 for the year. And after tax and other contributions, it was £2,371 per month that hit my bank account. That meant with a 7% pay rise, I had an additional £153 each month. In my third year of working within the bank, I moved to the front office, specifically in an area called transaction banking. I thought at that time that would mean I get a huge pay rise, but the reality was very different and my salary went up 6% to £40,000 per year. On a monthly basis, after taxes, that was £3,523 per month. So although I moved to the front office, I didn't get the pay rise that I was hoping for. And at the time, I was told it's because I moved within the same bank. And because of that, it will take me a few years to catch up with my peers in the division and what they get paid. My younger self believed this until a year later, someone else I knew made the exact same move from back office to front office, the same function, and they got a substantial pay rise. And that's when I learned the importance of, firstly, talking to others about money and what they're making. And secondly, not just taking the first thing that you get, thinking it's the best offer that can come through. Okay, moving on to the next year, I got promoted to a first year associate. And given this new information that I had, it was the first time that I negotiated my salary. So that year, my pay was adjusted and I got a 30% pay rise. So my salary went up to £52,000 a year. Again, after taxes and other contributions, that was £3,135 in my bank account each month. Then the following year, as a second year associate, so same division, same team, 1 more year of experience, my salary stayed flat. It didn't increase at all, not even in line with inflation. So I made, again, £52,000 that year. And after tax, per month, it was slightly higher. It was £3,161. And that's because the personal allowance tax bracket changed that year. So it meant that I got more on a monthly basis. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Had I stayed in the same organization and having spoken to people who are still in that same organization, still in the same division, still in the same team, my salary wouldn't be looking a huge amount different today, 4 or 5 years later. Maybe it would have increased 15 to 20% maximum. But as I've said a number of times on this channel, if you don't think you're getting paid what you're worth, and you also don't see any career progression or opportunities worth staying for, then move and find somewhere that will pay you what you're worth. And that's what I did. I applied to other places and I got an offer at a second tier investment bank. So not one of the largest anymore, not as well known. It was about a quarter of the size. A similar skill set required, different division, but still in the front office. And I got a 45% pay rise. So my annual salary was now £75,000. And after tax and other contributions, it was £4,297 per month. I would never have seen that pay rise had I stayed in the same organization. Then the first year that I was in this new bank, I got promoted to a first year vice president and I got another pay rise, and this time it was 20%. So my salary went up to £90,000 for the year, which after tax, after NI, was £5,061 per month. Then, as a second year vice president, I still got another pay rise, a smaller pay rise, but greater than the rate of inflation at the time, and it was 7%. So my base salary was now £96,000 on an annualized basis, which on a monthly basis after tax and NI was £5,359. So this was last year. And just to give you an idea of my savings rate, my expenses were £2,500 a month. And I've got a video which breaks down exactly how that money was spent, what my mortgage is, my interest rate. I have all of that in a video that I'll also link up. Wow, my whole financial life is online. And then in December last year, I started a new job at another bank for a number of reasons, which I'll explain in another video. And again, doing something slightly different. And I got another pay rise that I wouldn't have seen had I stayed within the same organization. Now, there are a few things that I've missed intentionally because it differs so much that it wouldn't help you in any way. So I haven't included my bonus in these numbers. This is discretionary and it is heavily reliant on your performance and the economy. And it can range from 0 to over 100% of your base salary. Typically, those in the front office will see a bigger percentage of their base salary as a bonus, and the same goes as you climb up the corporate ladder. The more senior you are, you can broadly expect a higher percentage of your base salary as a bonus. So when I started in middle office, my bonus was at best 15% of my base salary. And then when I moved to the front office, that percentage was a lot higher. The second thing I haven't mentioned is pension contribution. And depending on which bank you work for, they offer different employer match systems. The last one I worked for offered up to 10% of what I put in. So that was in addition to my basic salary. And in most years, I completely max it out. So those are my numbers, and I wanted to clarify that unlike most people on YouTube, I'm not a cash millionaire, and I think that there is this assumption that if you're in banking, you're making millions, but that really isn't the case for the majority of areas within a bank, at least in London, and banking doesn't pay what it used to pre the 2008 financial crisis. There are other areas in the front office that get paid a lot more than the numbers you've seen here, so mergers and acquisitions, trading, and there are also other areas of the front office that get paid a lot less. But I'm not going to go into the details of that. And I can just give you the information that I know is true and that's reliable. And those are my numbers. A couple of things that I've learned in the last 9 years of working in the corporate life. Firstly, don't be afraid to negotiate because you don't get paid your worth, you get paid your ability to negotiate. And that's just part of life. Negotiations is such an important skill. And if you keep passing up the opportunity to do it, the gap between you and someone else who is doing it is only going to get wider and wider as the years go by. The second thing is be okay to move. The biggest jumps in salary came from when I switched jobs. I'm not saying that you always need to just jump around at every opportunity, but when the time comes, when you feel like you're really fighting hard to get a pay rise and you're putting in 100% and you're not getting paid your worth and nothing else is working for you in that role, don't be afraid to leave and go somewhere else. You're more likely to get paid your worth that way than by staying in the same place and just constantly fighting year in, year out. Because yeah, loyalty is great, but only when it's rewarded. And finally, maximize other forms of compensation. So in addition to base salary, there are other forms of compensation, bonuses, benefits, pension contributions, annual leave. And so understand them and don't be afraid to maximize these as well because they can improve your overall package. Anyway, I would never have done this in a parallel world, but I've said from the start that I want to be completely transparent on this channel, no matter how hard it is. I found it incredibly helpful whenever I've come across similar content, although mostly from creators in different industries, because it gives me an idea of what other industries are paying and where I can expect the biggest pay jumps and what is possible. But I'd also love to hear from you whether this has helped you at all or whether you rather I avoid videos like this in the future, and I'll take that feedback on as I shape the direction of where my channel goes. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you will also enjoy another video that I have on my fixed expenses that I mentioned and how they are allocated, and I'll link that over here and see you there.